welcome to the Straight Red Card, and Brett and I today will break down Jurgen Klinsmann's second game as the manager of the United States national team, and the result was, Brett, 1-0 Costa Rica. And a lot of people are saying that's not really a fair result, but you had a great quote from Dan Loney, not to rub cream all over big soccer and its writers and give them a massage. But I thought it was a good one. And it was what?
Well, yeah, he ended up saying that, they say that a 2-0 is the most dangerous score in soccer. He added pure crapulence after that.
Yeah.
But then he said the most dangerous lead is a 0-0 at halftime.
Yeah.
When you brutally outplayed your opponent.
Yeah. And I don't know if it was... I mean, it was somewhat brutal. It wasn't
well,
like...
we destroyed them the first half. It was... I mean, we had the bulk of the possession. I mean, they came back towards the end of the half and had a couple opportunities. But outside that they rarely touched the ball. Outside of just possessing us in the final third. I mean, we held possession. Our problem was the final third. We couldn't finish our opportunities, and we couldn't produce the outside of those failed finished opportunities. Mm-hmm. We couldn't produce enough quality opportunities.
Mm-hmm. Well,
in the end, so
yeah, it was kind of funny because John Harkes said, "But the problem is, we still need strikers who are going to score." Yeah, okay, yeah, that's a real revelation. I think we, probably had some of the best strikers we have. If you can name some others that aren't playing for the national team, outside of Dempsey, who will be playing in the Belgium game, and he's not really just a striker; he just can play it. I'm not sure. I mean, listen, John said a lot of great things during the game that did make sense. I think he mentioned that the fitness looked poor, that the guys were tired, that also Klinsmann had worked them hard up until that game, and of course a lot of them are coming off working hard, getting ready for their seasons. So I'm not going to totally rip on him for that comment, but the comment itself is just so obvious. But, there's no answer to that question quite yet. Well,
and, it sounds like such a negative towards the strikers we do have playing currently. I mean, Josie, there were a couple opportunities where Josie was caught off sides. Some of them were his own fault. Some of them were because certain players weren't thinking quick enough to play the ball forward.
Robbie Rogers.
Yeah, exactly.
Twice.
Oh my God. But,
3 times.
I mean, he had a couple opportunities in the entire first half, and I thought he made the best of them. Outside of being able to put them away, I thought he did well. I thought he had that close opportunity near post. That was he forced his way through 2 different players, receiving the ball off the chest and still having a toe poke enough to where it was going to be an opportunity off the side netting. Mm-hmm. There were the chances where he did. I mean, other parts of the striker position that he does well, especially of lately, is he's been holding up the ball unbelievably well.
Yeah,
he's been checking back, he's been receiving and distributing back, and then making the runs forward. There was that one play where he checked back, he received the ball, and he ended up playing it to Donovan, and he tried to keep up with Donovan, but Donovan is just one fast guy. Yeah. I mean, I don't blame him for not being able to keep up with him, but he did his best to keep up with him and keep up in the position. He's playing well. He's doing well at the club level.
He looked confident.
It's going to reflect here on the national team. Mm-hmm. However, he didn't have that many opportunities.
Right.
There was plenty of chances, but not all of them were directed towards him.
Yeah, and depending on where you think Donovan played all game, it was still him all by himself up top. Although, not to get into the formation argument, but when a manager or the press all puts out that we're playing a 4-3-3 and it looks nothing like a 4-3-3, then you kind of have to say, well, what was it really? And it was I think, critical person who has berated Bob Bradley over the last number of years. It was their wet dream formation. Maybe not their wet dream player lineup, but certainly their wet dream formation. I mean, you had 4 guys in the back, and the wingers, Castillo and Chandler, having the ability and the thumbs up to go forward if need be. But right in front of that back 4 was Adu. Maurice, who looked really tired in the second half, and we'll get into that. But and then just in front of Adu for most of the game, I'm just saying this is on average. Torres was in front of him, and then next to or in line with Torres, moving up and down those wings was Shea and Rogers. And then Donovan in front of Torres, and then Altidore in front of Donovan, and really Donovan given the role that I think so many of us wanted to see him have the opportunity to play over the years, which is the number 10 role. He can just move wherever. He really gets the messy role here. He just goes wherever he wants, does whatever he wants. Defensive, responsibilities, as you mentioned before, minimal. I mean, this was the wet dream, right, for a lot of the Bob Bradley critics. This was it.
Definitely for a lot of them. Although, to tell you the truth, not too many massive changes. I mean, obviously having Donovan pushed into the center does make a difference. The big difference really is who's really partnering up with quote unquote Adu at this point. I mean, Torres is playing it, or not in this match only, obviously,
but right in front of Adu. How many times
it's not a side-by-side pairing. It's not as
not at all.
People would classify as the empty bucket.
That's why Adu was so tired.
It was definitely a different tactic, different setup, different formation, and everything. Rather than relying purely on counterattacks upon our wings, which is what Bob Bradley really focused heavily on, which is why Dempsey and Donovan played a lot more on the wings. You play your players in the position, your best players in the position that it's going to best benefit the team with his tactics. Those were the best positions for the teams. Now with Klinsmann, it's going to be a different setup, different system. We're probably going to see Donovan more in the center than we will on the wings, especially if Shea continues to perform as well as he did. My question is, you have Shea performing very well, and you have Dempsey coming back in.
Yeah.
Who's going to play on the opposite side? I mean, are you going to? Yeah. I mean, you really have two left midfielders playing against Costa Rica, playing on the wings. You had Robbie Rogers and you had Shea. Now you're going to throw in Dempsey.
Yeah.
Who's going to be pushed over to the right side? Will it be Dempsey or will it be Shea? Is my question.
Listen, Dempsey.
Or do you bring up Chandler?
I mean, I'd leave Chandler back in there, right? Because listen. First of all, Cherundolo has had a history of nagging injuries, and he's only gone in short spurts up until now from those injuries because he's still relatively young, but he is getting older. And as we creep closer to the World Cup, Cherundolo's injuries, however small, are going to keep him out even longer. So we need to keep Chandler on that right wing. We need to keep him moving forward. I thought Chandler performed very well. I was very, for the most part, impressed with his sensibilities. And boy, that guy's fast. Whenever he moved upfield, he got back faster than, twice as fast as Spector got back a couple of years ago.
On that.
Yeah, but all right. As far as Dempsey goes, Dempsey can play striker. He can play that. Donovan's not going to be in the Belgium game. He's staying home. So you'll probably see Dempsey play behind, whoever plays striker if it's Altidore again. Or, Dempsey can play right midfield. It's not his favorite because Dempsey likes to cut in and then use his right foot to strike. It's not so much something he can do with his left foot on the right side, but he can still play right midfield. The problem is making sure he doesn't. And this was a big problem, Brett, that with Shea, that he doesn't cut in. I mean, one of the hugest problems with this lineup or this formation, it was supposed to be able to expose the wings. And all I kept saying all damn game long, and I think Harks even said this, stay out wide. Shea, quit cutting in, brother. There's open field on the left.
Where Josie received the ball and he brought it down and he made it pass out to the left mid position because he thought Shea was going to be there, but Shea checked into the middle and Harks called him out. He's like, well, it looks like they're not on the same page. Josie was expecting him to be on the wing and he wasn't on the wing. He cut into the middle and all that's going to do is congest the already congested middle.
Yeah. Yeah, and it did because, right behind Altidore was Torres and Donovan. They're already there in the middle. Rogers is cutting in from the right side. There's just no point for Shea unless Shea's expecting Castillo to run down that left wing and cover that spot, which I don't think in that particular situation was appropriate. I just don't see anything but. And this is something again. This is the only the first few times Shea's really played a game here, and we got to give the guy some time. He's a great kid. He's a great player. I think he's going to be a really great player. So I don't doubt that.
Personally, I thought Shea played very well in the game. I really did. I mean, there were obviously some blunders where I was like, why is he cutting into the middle? Why isn't he staying out wide? We're supposed to stretch out the team, make the teams open up space for our already centrally located players.
Yeah.
But I thought he was one of our more dangerous players with the ball. He caused a lot of fouls. Same with Josie. Josie caused a lot of fouls. He did a lot of, even though he didn't score, he did do a lot of the other striker position roles, as in checking back, holding onto the ball, drawing the fouls. However, I still rank Shea up there as one of the top players of the match, in my opinion. I might get flamed for it. I don't know. I don't know what everybody else was saying about him.
Yeah.
However, we were talking about the Belgium game with with Donovan not being there and everything. I was reading on No Shore Corners that Josie's manager is now coming out saying that he's upset that Klinsmann called him in for the Costa Rica game and the Belgium game.
Ooh.
Whereas some players were able to stay at home. You had Dolo and you had Dempsey were able to stay in Europe and just show up for the Belgium game.
Yeah.
And Donovan's able to play for the Costa Rica game, but then go back after that rather than flying all the way over to Europe. I'm reading that Josie's manager is getting a little upset now.
Yeah, I can understand in some ways why Josie's team would think, well, why not like Dempsey? And Dempsey made up some, I don't know. Dempsey didn't necessarily make up an excuse, but he had a nagging injury or something you need to recover from, and same thing with Dolo's a very key player for his team. So why isn't Altidore, only playing the Belgium game? And I don't know the answer to that, but I know that his club preferred him to only play the Belgium match. That they thought the flight to the United States and then the flight back to play in the Belgium game, it was just ridiculous to them. They were pissed off about it. So I can understand that, because I think Agudelo could have probably hacked playing most of that game, and then you could have thrown somebody in at the end there. It is just a friendly against Costa Rica.
Exactly.
We have to remember that, and that Altidore has started his season with his club team in Holland, and he's playing great, and we don't want to in any way upset that. Yeah, we just don't.
Well, and if I don't know what the rules are as far as being able to replace a player now. I
think they're pretty flexible.
What?
I think they're pretty flexible in the friendly situation. Yeah.
You know what I would absolutely love to see is if this is an actual situation and Josie's club is upset with Klinsmann with it, as far as saying, hey, I don't know why he's playing both games. Why are you flying him around the world? Blah blah blah. Why not send Josie home? Let him recover. Let him start with his club. Why not call in somebody like Chris Rolfe, who's actually who's doing well for his club team in Belgium?
Because I don't think Chris Rolfe is a real candidate for the next World Cup.
I thought he kind of got the shaft with Bradley, simply because I felt that they always played him out of position, which is what the same situation in Chicago happened.
Yeah, but Chris Rolfe is
out of position. He's a very technical player. He has a nose for the goal. He's a very good finisher. You play him up top. He might not finish. He might finish.
He's doing fine for his club team, but I don't think Chris Rolfe. I mean, I'm more upset that a guy like Diskerud's not even getting a sniff right now.
I thought they talked about that. They talked about that.
They may have. I think they probably did.
Not right now, basically, is what Klinsmann said.
But the point is,
he's on his radar. In other words.
Well, I'm sure he is, but the point with Altidore at this point is he is, the game is in Belgium. That's like a hop, skip, and a jump from where he plays his club football. At this point,
it wasn't included with the Costa Rica match.
Right.
I'm just saying that if they drop him now,
you can't drop him now because he's literally hop, skip, and a jump away from the Belgium game. It'll take him no time at all to get back to his club team from Belgium. I mean, they're neighbors.